We'll be there at 6. So just in case it does show.
You start. Really getting it today. Kind of what was the message when you worked with the guys, looked at film and things after the other night, coming out of that?
I went at him. I just did. I've said this to them before. You go through films like that. I asked them, 3 questions, and I always do. I said, have you been told what to do? Have you been taught what to do? And are you talented enough to do it? And so if you're told and taught and talented enough to do it, then tell me consistently why we aren't doing this. And, I always say that, when we watch film, I want to accomplish 2 things. One, I want you should walk away, have learned something, and then number 2, you should feel encouraged. And that in a film session, I'm not trying to call you out. I'm trying to call you up because that's how much I feel. That's how I feel about you as a team and individually as players. Is that I think you're talented enough to do that on a consistent basis. And so that was the message yesterday, and we had a really good, hard practice yesterday, and we'll have another good one a little bit later today.
Last year, you told us that game at Camden, you showed them that Showtime Lakers documentary and sort of instilling them the value of fighting and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Have you sort of doubled down on that message going into this week?
Well, I've doubled down on that message, not this week, this whole season. I mean, I've said that since this summer, that, in order for our team to be successful, that's the only way for us to be the best that we can be is we have to all the time, both ends of the floor, the entire possession for 40 minutes, have a competitive fight. It just is what it is. That's what allows us to be successful. And so when that wavers or if there's inconsistencies in that area, that affects all parts of our game. So it's not anything specific for our game tomorrow versus Duke. That's been the message for our team the entire season.
What's the advantage to having players who played there in that environment multiple times, Leaky, Armando, Caleb, and RJ, versus the Duke team that is very freshman laden?
Yeah, that's as a player, you're so into the game, the environment, you don't pay attention to it. It's not a factor. As a coach, it's the same way. And so our focus is on the game, the where we play, when we play. If the environment plays a factor in how you play, wherever you play, when you play, I just don't think you're focusing on the right things. I don't, whether you're a freshman or a 5th-year senior, it's just a basketball game, and it's an opportunity to compete against an unbelievable opponent, and we're just excited for the challenge.
Some of the guys said that one of your messages since the other night having to be consistent with toughness. You addressed that the other night with us. That they had it at times, but they had to sustain it. How much has that been your message the last couple of days? And how tough is it to coach a group to be consistently at that level of toughness that you want?
Well, again, that's the message that has been consistently sent the entire season. It's not anything specific, in our preparation for Pitt, and not anything specific in our preparation for Duke on Saturday. That's been the message for our team the entire season, that at the end of the day, that's what we have to bring in order for us to have a chance to be the best that we can be. And so it'd be nice to not have to preach that every day, but that's okay because it's important to us and it's important to our team to be the best that we can be.
Hubert, are you still, it seemed like this time last year, maybe later in February, you got to a point where you really just seemed to push the right buttons with that team. Like, are you still, in some ways, as a coach, trying to find the
I think you always are. I do. You know, I think you always are trying to, I guess, push the right buttons or make changes and tweak and alter things to make things go better or smoother. I think you're always doing that. I think, you know, one of the things that has been inconsistent for us has been the injuries. And so every week, in terms of, you know, rotations, it's been, you know, it's been musical chairs in terms of who's in, who's out every week. And I'm so thankful that Puff is at a point right now in terms of his health that, you know, he practiced yesterday and he'll be ready to go today and for the game against Duke. But he has missed, you know, 2 weeks, you know, and he was a guy that was, you know, one of the first guys coming off the bench and playing a lot of minutes off the bench.
John said yesterday that you guys ran into each other. He thought it was a recruiting event or a tournament in Orlando this summer, John Shire.
Yes.
And he said,
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. I was like, I know a lot of Johns. Man, which John is he talking about? Coach Shire, okay. I know you're talking about now. Okay.
you two ran into each other. He thought it was in Orlando, but it's some sort of event over
It was in Kansas City.
Okay.
But, I mean, we're running into each other all the time. We're at the same events.
I was
So,
going to ask you,
yeah.
what is sort of your relationship? He said in that conversation it was mostly focused on family. Like, have you guys spoken more this summer? What is like that?
No, it was great. You know, it's nice to be able to have a conversation outside of basketball. And so I knew that him and his wife were expecting their third child. And I asked him about it. And he asked me, because I have 3 children, you know, how do you juggle all that? And I said, it's a juggle, but it's a fun juggle. And so it was great to just briefly have that type of real conversation with him. And he's done a terrific job this year, and you know he's a great person and an outstanding coach.
Hubert, you played at a time when both of these programs were really at. What was that like? And is there any particular?
We're still pretty high.
Well, but I mean, national championship. I mean,
Yeah.
I understand that, but I mean, for an extended period. I mean, look, that was one of their best teams ever. Leitner and Hurley and those guys. You had Montross and yourself, and
Yeah.
I mean, but what was that like? As a player? What was that like? And are there any particular experiences that stand out for you?
No, I just that's why my response was it's always been high. So it was high when my uncle was here in the mid '70s. It was high when I was here, mostly in the '90s. Okay, they got me on the in the decades outside, and they got me in the '80s, and now that I'm head coach, I'm gonna see if I can move me to the '90s, and so you know.
We go by your first year.
Well, I'm gonna change that rule. You should go by your last year. I love being a head coach. This is great. They could just move me to the '90s, and so. Yes.
But was there any one particular thing or any kind of things that stood out about you playing in this rivalry game that you remember?
I remember everything. I remember every detail, everything that went into each one of those games, and played them 11 times. I remember everything.
Did you enjoy playing in the environment in Cameron, especially your last year? I know you guys lost, but it was one of the best Duke teams ever. You had a huge game, and there's the chaos going around. I know you said
We lost. Yeah, Leitner had 0 in the first half and 20 in the second half.
Is there anything you liked about playing in the environment in Cameron with the intensity, the noise?
Again,
That you enjoyed?
no, I just, again, this isn't, as a player, you're so focused on the competition in the game. The environment is great over there. I'm just saying that as a player, you're so concentrated on what is real, and that's you playing and me now coaching, that you don't recognize, you don't hear, you don't pay attention to the environment. It's just a non-factor. nothing against the environment, but just your focus is so intense that it's just you're not looking at anything else. You're just so focused on what you're doing on the court as a player and now as a coach.
Maycott was joking earlier that he thought the Duke fans at Cameron hated Caleb more than him. He said he wished he got booed more. I mean, how cognizant do you think your team is of other?
I hope
their
they're not.
perceptions of others?
I hope they're not. I hope they're not paying attention to that at all. Then that. I hope they're not tomorrow paying attention to that at all. That is of no value to us out there on the court to pay attention to if I'm getting booed as much as the other player. I just I don't know. I just wish we could switch roles and you guys could see and that it wherever you play, it's a great environment. But you just like our game on Wednesday against Pitt. You know, it was a great environment, but I don't remember anything about the environment. I know that we played Pitt and we lost, and so that's the same thing with our players. My hope is tomorrow.
Hubert, when Caleb was going through his shootings, you said you sort of listened and gave him some pointers.
I did.
Things.
I did.
Did you give some of those same teachings to RJ after the Pitt game when he was struggling with his shot, or was it as simple as the wrap on his finger was bothering him?
I didn't say anything to him. I filter a lot of things through my own experience and the often times where I didn't shoot the ball well, I didn't want anybody talking to me. Just leave me alone. I know how to fix this. And so that was just me. And I did go through a checklist, when I didn't shoot the ball the way that I wanted to. I wanted to check and see if there was anything wrong with my form. Number two is, and I could always check this box is, was I putting in the work in terms of, preparing and practicing on my shot. And then the last thing that I would check is my shot selection. And so, as a player, the only stat that I ever looked at was how many threes that I took in a game. Unless I was like really hot, I didn't want to take more than 50% of my shots from three. I just wanted to mix things up. And so that was my checklist, and that's something very similar that I talked to Caleb. But I did not have that same conversation with RJ.
Hubert, when you guys won over there last year at Duke, the locker room afterward, just after the game, and players coming in, and Armando comes in very emotional.
Yeah.
You all had that moment.
Yeah.
What did you think brought him to that level of getting all that out? Like, what did you think when you guys were?
A number of things. I think that game, one, winning that game versus an unbelievable opponent. Armando, and I think for Armando, individually, he'd been through a lot. His freshman year was when COVID broke out, and we weren't going to the NCAA tournament anyway. And then the second year, we got beat in the first round by Wisconsin, and I think there was a number of things that came out. And so that moment was great because Armando's very emotional, but he doesn't show it a lot. And to see that type of emotion come from him after that game was great.
About 5 more minutes.
Hubert, you've been on Pete in terms of
Yeah.
offensively and everything, and it seems like he's starting to put that together now. But I feel like we saw that earlier in the season too, and then he kind of took a step back again and wasn't consistent with it. Do you feel like now? I mean, have you seen maybe that light switch turn on for him?
My hope is, yeah, because we need that. We need him being more assertive and being aggressive on both ends of the floor. We need him getting to the offensive glass. We need him to be great defensively and blocking, altering shots. We need him running the floor. We need him to be aggressive on the offensive end in many different ways in terms of finishing around the basket and getting to the free throw line and making open threes and facilitating. We need all of that. And so I agree with you. The last couple games, I feel like he has been more aggressive, and we've been encouraging him to continue to do that.
You believe this is the
I don't think about that stuff. I don't. There's a lot of stuff on my mind. I just don't. I don't. I don't think about that. But you just bringing up Coach Smith and Coach Guthridge. That's just I don't know. Just puts a smile on my face.
Coach, you talked a lot about cutting the cord from the big wins last year. Some of the content from the game at Cameron last year was taken out on hype video. Is that something that you're aware of or have asked about?
Pregame, I
The
think, was
pregame,
the video.
yeah.
Okay, I have no idea. I don't know. Like before the game, I'm thinking about the game. I don't know what's going on the video. I don't know who's in the stands. I know my wife and my kids are there, but I apologize. I'm sorry. I don't. I didn't know, and I don't know.
Coach, did you happen to get a chance to talk to Coach Capel or Jason Capel after the last game with, I don't know, the disrespect that Jason Capel felt or anything? Did you see that or talk to him after?
There's a couple things. Well, one, Jeff called me and I missed his call, and he left me a voice message, and I sent him a text back, and I said, everything's good, and congratulations on the win. Good luck for the rest of the season. Other than that, I think it would be negligent on my part to comment any further because I wasn't involved, and the information that I got was other people's opinions and their take on it. And so I try to stay away from commenting on stuff that I'm not involved with and commenting on other people's opinions. And again, you guys know I'm not on social. Not only do I not know what's on the video board, I'm not on social media, so I'm not on Twitter or anything, so I don't know what's going on. So all I know is, Pittsburgh came in here and beat us on Wednesday night, and that was the only thing that I took from that.
Time for one more. As far as the actual matchup and the players. Look, it was 19 minutes.
Yeah, we going back to 61 and before I was born.
Just when you look at their roster,
Yeah.
what sort of immediately stands out to you in terms of areas of concern or areas that should most focus on?
Well, I mean, they're a great rebounding team, especially on the offensive glass. And so, look at something's got to give. We're the best, percentage-wise defensive rebounding team in the ACC, and they're the best percentage-wise, best offensive rebounding team. So, rebounding will be very important tomorrow at 6:30 or 6 for you. Okay, and okay tomorrow. They're playing with a lot of confidence, and every Duke team they play with a sense of toughness and physicality from a defensive standpoint, and so we know what to expect there. And then on the offensive end, Filipowski's special. He's a guy that he can create a shot for himself and for anybody else anytime that he wants to. He's a fantastic young player, but it's not just him. They've got a really good basketball team, and it'll be a competitive test for us, but that's something that we always like and always enjoy, and we're really looking forward to it tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Yep.
Glad we got a question about the team.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. I'll be looking for you.